Hi there. We're continuing our journey through the Proverbs, the Mishle Shlomo, the life sayings of Solomon. We're in chapter 23 and we're looking at verses 13 to 14. The chapter 23:13 in the original Hebrew says, Al timna min ha'al musar ki taknu bashevet lo yamut, which means don't hold back from disciplining a youth, for some hard knocks could keep them from death. And then in a similar way, verse 14 goes on in the original Hebrew to say, Ata bashevet takenu v'nafsho misha'ol tatzil, which means if you beat him, if you give him a hard time, in fact in the original it talks about beating him with a rod, then you will save his soul, you will rescue his soul from death, from hell. So this is a very interesting couple of verses in the context of our modern understanding. We don't give corporal punishment to children. We don't tend to, well, we haven't for a long time given corporal punishment to young people. But there is something important here as a principle that even though we've moved on from that kind of punishment, there is a principle here that life is sometimes full of hard knocks. And if we don't learn something, if we don't learn that there's a payback, if we don't learn that there are consequences from our mistakes, then we can't move on, we can't be shaped and we can't be formed. And therefore what this verse is saying perhaps to us is that we need to take responsibility for directing and shaping and training, and also for giving consequences when the young go off track. Many of us will remember times when in our own lives we faced challenges. Not sometimes it's been overly harsh, but sometimes we face the challenge from those who are training us, whether that's teachers or parents. And actually it's saying here to the parents, it's saying here to, this is talking about fathers and children, but it could also be teachers, don't just cover over, don't just smooth over the mistakes. Let there be a case for training, because if there are hard knocks, if someone experiences hard knocks, it's a way of training them for the future. So in all of our society, we have a payback. There's an eventual payback through things like justice and fines and prison. But what this verse is saying is, don't let it get to that stage. Don't allow a young person to get to the point where they end up having to experience the impact of the state. Dr. Jordan Peterson, who's written a book on the subject of 12 rules for life, says particularly in his chapter about don't let your children do things that you would make you dislike them, is talking about the importance of taking responsibility for the disciplining of children. Because if as parents and teachers we don't do that for the children, he says when they fall into the hands of the world will discipline them, the world will bring them to book much more harshly than we would as parents and as teachers. So let's take seriously, lovingly, caringly, shaping, forming, correcting the young when they go off track. We won't be using rods and belts to do that now, but we can be using situations, we can be using suggestion, we can be using direction. Let's not shrink from that, because it could save them from much worse later on. Have a good day.